And okay, Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to Bhagavad Gita chapter summary series. And today we start with chapter number 4. What is the title of chapter number 4? Anyone?
Transcendental knowledge.
Very nice. Transcendental knowledge. And what was the end of chapter 3 that we spoke? The last two parts, E and S.
Eternal enemy and spiritual knowledge.
And what about that? What was the relation between the two? Who is our eternal enemy? And how do
Our
we conquer it?
desires, our desires, and we conquer it through spiritual knowledge.
Perfect. Because we learned in the last chapter that we can conquer our eternal enemy through spiritual knowledge, which is transcendental knowledge. Today we will deep dive into this transcendental knowledge. Okay. So, normally there is this word called Shruti. Does anybody know what is the meaning of Shruti?
Hearing.
Hearing. And what is the relevance of hearing and spiritual knowledge? Anyone?
We gain spiritual knowledge by hearing, like the entire Bhagavad Gita was based on Shruti. Bhagavatam,
Nice.
sorry.
Very nice.
And
Yeah.
Bhagavad
Very
Gita.
nice. Very nice. Yeah, so we gain this transcendental knowledge by hearing. So there was a lecture by His Holiness Swayam Bhagwan Keshav Swami Maharaj, and the topic of that lecture was um, how to see God. Okay. And in that, the main goal was how we can see God is not with our eyes, but through our ears. One lady in the end, she stood up in the Q&A section and asked Maharaj, like, Maharaj, have you seen God? And Maharaj was like, I may or may not have seen God with my eyes, but I try to see God with my ears. And I'm sure I have not, may or may not have seen God personally, but I'm sure I see his hand in everything. Yeah. So this is how we try to gain spiritual knowledge. This is how we try to understand God is through hearing. Yeah, through with our ears. So today, because this chapter contains a lot of important and famous shlokas, so we will deep dive into some of these shlokas also. So just be patient with me and lend me your ears. And that is the acronym of today's fourth chapter, which is EARS. Okay. So E stands for eternal education. Transcendental knowledge means it's eternal. Okay. A stands for assumptions clarified. R stands for reactions, which are the karmic reactions. And S stands for science. Once again, for those who are taking notes, E, eternal education. A, assumptions clarified. R, reactions, karmic. And S, science. Okay. So we start with E, eternal education, which covers shloka number 1 to shloka number 10. So do you know this transcendental knowledge of Bhagavad Gita that we are trying to learn was given by Krishna to whom? Arjuna, of course, but other than him.
Vidura also.
Sanjaya? Sanjay?
Yeah, sorry,
Somebody else?
Sanjay.
The
Somebody
sun
else?
god Vivasvan.
Sun god Vivasvan. That's the right answer. Yeah, even before this Bhagavad Gita was spoken 5,000 years ago on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, which we are learning right now, it was spoken to the sun god, namely Vivasvan by Krishna. Okay, and then the sun god transferred this knowledge to whom? By in disciplic succession, it came down from sun god to whom?
Iksvaku.
And from Iksvaku to whom?
To Manu.
To Manu. Okay, so this happened in the disciplic succession. This is how it was passed. But what happened later on that this knowledge was broken and lost somewhere by passing this down. You know how the Chinese whisper happens? Just like that. And therefore, Krishna, what he had to do, he had to re-establish and give this knowledge again to whom? Now, this time on the battlefield
To
of
Arjun.
Kurukshetra.
Arjun.
To
Arjun.
Arjun.
To Arjun.
Okay. Why Krishna has picked Arjun only and not anybody else? There were so many people over there at the battlefield. Why did he pick Arjun to give this knowledge? What was so special about Arjuna?
Because he had surrendered
He
sincerely.
had surrendered. Very nice. Anything else?
He friend to Lord Krishna.
He
Beautiful.
made him his
Very
guru.
nice. Very nice. He was his guru, he was a friend. Yes, that's it. So basically, Arjuna is not just a friend of Krishna, but also now a devotee because he has surrendered. So from this, we learn that in order to correctly absorb this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, what we need to do is we need to establish a relationship with Krishna. Okay. And only then can we really understand and absorb this transcendental knowledge. Okay. So now, when Arjuna is trying to understand from Krishna that this Bhagavad Gita knowledge, the transcendental knowledge, was passed from Krishna to Vivasvan, okay, Krishna to the sun god Vivasvan. So, in Arjuna has a doubt. He thinks, okay, wait, Vivasvan is so elderly to Krishna, okay, so how can it be that Krishna has passed this knowledge? He's so senior. So then what Arjuna does, he asks Krishna, okay, like, I really don't understand how this fits. Now, when Arjuna is asking this question to Krishna, he's not doubting Krishna. Oh, maybe Krishna is just making false claims, he's just exaggerating. He's not doing from that perspective. He's thinking that maybe I don't understand something and he's asking in way of clarification. So from this, we understand that sometimes our guru might tell us some things which might not resonate with us. But what happens is we need to understand that this is because of my lack of understanding and we should not doubt this. Okay. So when Arjuna poses this doubt to Krishna, what happens is Krishna clarifies it. What does Krishna say? That I remember all the things that happened in all the lifetimes. We all have come many, many lifetimes, which he had clearly said in chapter 2 also, right? So, but the difference is that Arjuna, you have forgotten all of that which happened in the past life, but I haven't. Why is that Arjuna has forgotten and Krishna hasn't? Any guesses?
Because he is the Supreme Personality. And Arjuna is just a Anu of the Supreme Personality.
Okay. Any other guesses?
What's the
Any
question
other
that
guess?
what's the
Why
question that
why
why has
Arjuna has
Krishna?
why Arjuna has
Krish-
forgotten?
Yeah,
Why
the
Arjuna
same
has
because
forgotten and not Krishna?
Krishna is perfect and Arjuna is a soul. We are souls. Like Arjuna is a soul and Krishna is super soul. So who is perfect? He remembers everything, past, present, future. He knows. So that's why.
Any other guesses?
Krishna is eternal. He never takes birth and death, but we die and take birth, repeated birth and deaths. So our knowledge gets.
Yeah, that's absolutely the correct answer. Krishna is eternal. Why we forget everything what happened in the past lifetime is because we take birth and we change the body. As soon as the body is changed, what happens is a reset of memory, complete clean slate. Okay, but because Krishna's body is always a spiritual body, okay, it doesn't change like our body. We change material bodies, so that is why Krishna remembers everything. Beautiful. So Krishna says that in spite of me being unborn, okay, I still appear millennium after millennium. Okay. And now we will come to the most famous shloka. Okay. When we say millennium after millennium, which shloka strikes? When does Krishna come and why does he come?
Yada
Anyone?
yada hi dharmasya
Go on, chant the
gla-
shloka.
ग्लानिर्भवति भारत अभ्युत्थानम् अधर्मस्य tadatmanam srijamyaham.
And the translation?
Whenever there are appearance of unrighteous activities, adharmic activities, I appear to protect my devotees or to give pleasure to my devotees, and at the same time I eliminate the unrighteous people and unrighteous principles.
Well, that was a part of the next shloka. Why does he come? And which is that?
Paritranaya sadhunam.
Go on, chant.
Vinashaya chatuskratam dharma samstharpanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge.
Can we chant in the tune?
Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chatuskratam dharma samstharpanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge.
Yeah. So these two shlokas, Krishna says, when does he appear and why does he appear? When does he appear is whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice. Okay, and a predominant rise of irreligion. That time Krishna comes. And why does he come? Is because he has three reasons to come. The first reason is Paritranaya Sadhunam, in order to deliver the pious souls. And also Vinashaya Chadushkritam, which means that the dushkritam, the miscreants, okay, the how do I say, the people who are creating a lot of chaos, to annihilate these people is Krishna is coming. And the third reason is to reestablish the religious principles. He appears millennium after millennium. So these two shlokas very famous. All of you must have heard. And then the next shloka after that is also very important shloka, which is 4.9, which is Janma Karma. Anybody can chant that?
Janma karma cha. Okay.
Yeah, please go ahead. Yes.
जन्म कर्म च मे दिव्यम् एवं यो वेत्ति तत्त्वतः त्यक्त्वा देहं पुनर्जन्म नैति मामेति सो अर्जुन.
Meaning?
Meaning is that my appearance and my activities both are transcendental, and one who knows this absolute truth, he does not take birth again in this material world.
Beautiful. Yeah. So once somebody can understand that Krishna's birth and Krishna's activity are transcendental, then once you have understood this, realized this, then you will never take birth again in this material world. But where will you go? You will go to Krishna's abode. Okay, Krishna's eternal abode. So that's Janma Karma Chame Divyam. Okay. And then closing of the first part of eternal education, what do we get from here? We understand that by being freed from anger, fear, and attachment, and being fully absorbed in Krishna and taking refuge in Him, by the way, by how? By understanding this knowledge. Okay. What can happen is that we can become purified. Why? Because Krishna is fully pure, and anybody who takes refuge in Krishna becomes purified. And Krishna says that many, many people in the past have become purified by gaining knowledge of Krishna, and they all get, what do they get by getting purified? They get transcendental love for Krishna. Okay, so that is the end of the first part, the 10 shlokas of chapter 4, eternal education. Then the second part comes where Krishna is clarifying some assumptions. Okay, so normally what happens, we will see over here, there are some assumptions which we must have also heard and we must have also fallen victim of. And then Krishna is clarifying these. So broadly, there are three assumptions over here. Which are the three assumptions? The first one is all spiritual paths lead to same destination. This is an assumption. Well, Krishna is saying, no, this is not correct. He's clarifying it. Krishna says that although there is a unity in diversity, but it is not that by every spiritual path will take you to the same destination. Why? Because there are different gradations of the spiritual elevation, step by step. If you study for, let's say, grade 1, okay, you will reach to grade 2. You will not go to grade 5, right? Similarly, there are gradations. So, whichever spiritual path you're taking, no doubt you will be progressing, but the goal, the end result, the destination will not be the same. So, this assumption that all spiritual paths lead to same destination is clarified by Krishna. The second assumption over here is that Eastern scriptures talk of polytheism. Polytheism meaning that there are many gods. Okay, people think, oh, sab bhagwan hai, bahut sare bhagwan hai, which is not correct. Here Krishna is clarifying about monotheism, that there is only one God. Okay, and the last third assumption there is he's clarifying is that the caste system. We know we have heard about the caste system and we all have the assumption that we all have the belief that this caste system is really unfair and it's even exploitative. But actually, this caste system should not be based on the birth. Like just because you're born in a Kshatriya family, you become Kshatriya. It's not like that. It has to be as per your guna and ashram. Just like a doctor's child doesn't automatically become a doctor. Similarly, this caste system is not based on birth. So, therefore, there is a purpose for this classification for the society to progress and run properly. So these three assumptions were clarified. Okay, so we have eternal education, and now we have three assumptions clarified. The next part, EAR. R meaning removing reactions. It's karmic reactions. So what are karmic reactions? For the what is the law of karma that we understand? That if you do a good karma, then you will get good reactions, good results. And if you do bad karma, you will get bad reactions. So naturally, what should you avoid and which one should you pick? Somebody would say, okay, I should avoid bad karma because it gives me bad reactions. Okay, I have to suffer if I do bad karma. And if you do good karma, you will enjoy. So you should do more of good karma. अच्छा आदमी बनना चाहिए, अच्छे काम करने चाहिए, But Krishna explains that this is not the goal. Okay, you should avoid both bad karma as well as good karma. Can anybody guess? Okay, bad karma we understand we should avoid because it causes suffering. But why good karma should be avoided?
Because we'll have to enjoy the results of good karma as well.
What do you mean we'll have to? Isn't it nice if I get to enjoy?
But then you won't be able to come out of the cycle of birth and death, disease, old age.
It's okay. As long as I'm getting enjoyment, Krishna Priya says, because it binds us here in the mortal world. As long as I'm getting enjoyment, I don't mind coming here again and again. What's the problem?
Because while we are enjoying, we may commit again some wrong things, sins, which will again trap us.
Yes. And what about birth and
Enjoyment
death?
is not eternal. The distress is going to come along.
Okay. Yeah, it's a material world. It's a place of dukha. Anyways, dukh will come. And the four miseries which are bound to happen, irrespective of how much of good karma you have done, are which will cause you suffering by taking birth. What are the four sufferings you have which are inevitable?
Birth,
Even
death,
if you
old age, and disease.
birth, death, old age, and disease. Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi. Okay, so you have to suffer at least these four things. Okay, very painful. And as Vandamataji correctly said, that even if you come to enjoy good karma, there is always a chance of incurring new bad karma. So that is why both good karma and bad karma should be avoided. So then what do we do if we avoid good karma and bad karma also? then what should actually we be doing? Last chapter, we understood we cannot leave karma, we should continue. And today I'm saying that don't do bad, don't do good. Then what do I do? Any guesses?
We should do activities in the service of the Lord.
We should do activities in the service of the Lord. So, will that not create any good or bad karma?
That will refrain me, at least.
Sorry?
That will refrain me, at least, from doing both. If I'm always in the sangha of devotees, I eat prasad, I offer, I chant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Fair enough. Somebody else?
Nishkam karmas.
Okay.
Akarma. That's the akarma, that we don't desire the fruit of our karma, and we offer them all to Krishna. So that becomes akarma, and in that case we don't incur any reaction, and that's the best thing to do, and that would only release us from this repetitive cycle of birth and death.
Right. Correct. So, karma is basically those activities which are prescribed in the scriptures for us to do, okay, and which brings good reactions. That's karma. Vikarma, opposite, virod, vikarma, which is something that you do which is opposite to what is actually prescribed for you to do, which you go against, okay, and that brings you bad reactions, suffering, pain, miseries, okay. And then there is akarma, as Vandana Mataji said, which neither creates any good reactions nor any bad reactions, as Puja Mataji rightly said, which is what is it? Which is actually doing activities in the service of the Lord. But theoretically, we understand this. Practically, if I go and tell somebody, okay, so he'll be like, why do I believe you? Okay, how do I understand this? So let's take an example. Okay, now being a finance person, let me pick an example of making bank transfers. Okay, so let's say my boss asked me to make a bank transfer of $100,000 to Mr. XYZ. Okay. And I do that. Okay. And it happens so Mr. XYZ is a scammer. Okay. So will I be into trouble or no? I paid company funds to the account of Mr. XYZ, who's a scammer, under the instruction of my manager. Am I accountable?
No.
Yes.
Yes.
Why no?
Yes.
Why
Yes.
yes?
Because before doing any process or action, you have to check, you have to verify the things.
Okay.
No,
And why
because
no?
you did it instruction under the instruction of your manager. So you just followed instructions.
Correct. Absolutely. So my job is to follow the instructions of my manager, which is what I am paid for. If ever somebody holds me accountable, I can pass the accountability to a senior authority. Okay. So that is good. Similarly, in our life, if we are doing everything, okay, as per the desire of the Lord, so we are not accountable because we can show that this was sanctioned by the Lord. Okay. And how do we do that? By following the instructions of Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. As long as we are following instructions, okay, that till that time we are not held accountable. If a child does an activity under the instruction of parents, okay, then the parents are accountable and not the child, right? Similarly, when we do activities under the instruction of Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, we don't build any karmic reactions. So, this is how we understand the concept of akarma. Okay, so that's reactions. And finally, the last part which comes is S stands for science. Okay, so now let's go back to our school days. Okay, in when we were studying science, what used to normally happen is first they used to teach us theoretically something, and then after we pass the exams of the lower grades, And we write in the examination what was taught to us theoretically, whether we believe it or not. Later, passing those grades, we were allowed to enter the practical lab, the science laboratory, and then we were actually made to do those experiments and see for ourselves. Oh, yeah, this works. Whatever they were telling us in the lower grades, whether we believed it or not, it actually works. Okay, so first is theory, and then is practical, and then you make a discovery where the scientists make discovery. So, similarly, in this transcendental knowledge, which is a science, it should not only be acquired and understood theoretically, but also the next level is it should be practically applied. It's very well that we understand all this, we learn the acronyms, we know which parts of each chapter, okay, what the chapters consist of. But it's also very important to absorb and apply by realization. Okay. And how can we do that? We can do that by making sacrifice. What do we need to sacrifice over here? One of the biggest sacrifices is the relinquishment of our pride, of our false ego. So, how do we do that? By humbly submitting ourselves before a bona fide guru. And that brings to the favorite shloka of the entire, my favorite shloka of the entire Bhagavad Gita is Tadvidi Pranipatena. Anybody can chant that one?
Hare Krishna.
And
That's तद्विद्धि प्रणिपातेन परिप्रश्नेन सेवया उपदेक्ष्यन्ति ते ज्ञानं ज्ञानिनस्तत्त्वदर्शिनः. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Meaning? Not the exact translation, at least the meaning that you understand.
That one who submissively inquires after rendering service from a bona fide guru who has seen the truth, then basically you get that knowledge.
Correct, correct. Then the Guru will impart knowledge to the self-realized souls. Very nice. So this shloka is trying to tell us that just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. So you approach a spiritual master, and what do you do after approaching? You inquire, you ask questions, but you don't ask questions from a point of view of challenging or doubting, as we saw in the beginning of the chapter. We ask questions submissively. Why we ask questions? To understand better, okay, to deepen our knowledge and help us realize that and practically apply that. And how do we do that? By two things. One is not just ask questions, question, but also render service unto the spiritual master. What happens by these two things? The guru, the bona fide spiritual master, he will impart spiritual knowledge, okay, to these sincere submissive souls. And why can he do that? Why can the guru impart knowledge? Because he has actually seen the truth. He has already done this, and he has gone to the science lab, he has practically experimented it, he has made his discovery, so he can pass that knowledge by two things. What we want to do, we want to ask questions submissively, and we want to render service to the spiritual master. So in the Bhagavad Gita, there are many hacks for going back to Krishna. And like we said, Janma Karma Chame Divyam. The person who understands that Krishna's birth and activities are transcendental directly goes back to Krishna. Okay. So there are some different hacks which will come in the future chapters also, that how can we go back to Krishna. But this particular shloka, why I like it so much, because this is not just a hack of how to go back, but this is a hack of what we do now, today, to accelerate our spiritual progress. So, just two things. After approaching a spiritual master, you need to inquire submissively, and you need to render service. Okay. So by this faithful service and this sincere inquiry, the heart of this sincere soul becomes fertile, becomes conducive for what? For the spiritual knowledge to blossom. Otherwise, what happens is we hear so much, we read so much, okay, and we even go and preach, okay, but in the heart there is no realization. And why is that? Because what is missing? Faithful service and sincere inquiry. With this, your heart will become a conducive place for the spiritual knowledge to grow. And on that note, I will just take a small story and close this session. In this story, what happens is there is a student, okay, and he goes to his master and he says that, Master, I have learned the Bhagavad Gita so well. I have read it so many times, okay, that I can chant all the shlokas of Bhagavad Gita in 45 minutes. The master seems unimpressed and says, Wow, that's nice, that's beautiful. You can surely chant in 45 minutes, but can you apply the teachings of Bhagavad Gita in your life just for 45 minutes? Okay. So, which means the importance of realization, absorption, and practical application. So, today we learn that it's not just important to absorb all this knowledge and gain, but also to practically apply it. We go to higher grades. And what would be our discovery when we go to the science lab and we practically apply it? The discovery would be our relationship, forgotten relationship with the Lord. Okay. So, on that note, I close the session. If anybody has any questions or comments, please feel free to unmute. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Can someone quickly tell the three assumptions of the thing? We did the three assumptions, right? Just briefly, three assumptions. Anybody can repeat.
Hare Krishna. The three
Yeah.
assumptions. First is that all paths lead to the same destination, and it has been clarified that there are gradations like demigods and the heavenly planets and so on. The second assumption is that there are many gods, like polytheism, but it has been clarified that there is monotheism, there is only one god. And the third is about the caste system, that it's exploitative, it's manipulative, and so on. But it has been clarified here that it is necessary according to the psychophysical nature of the person, according to the uh, uh, guna and ashram. So it is important for the society to progress smoothly towards spiritual advancement. Anandini ji, please correct me if there is any
Perfect.
requirement.
Absolutely perfect. Bang on. No comments here. You nailed it. Any other questions? Okay, so if there are no questions, we just do a quick recap. E stands for eternal education, A stands for the three assumptions, R stands for the reactions, karmic reactions, and S stands for science. In E, eternal education, we saw how this knowledge was first passed by Krishna to Vivasvan and so on in the disciplic succession. With time, it got broken and lost. Therefore, Krishna came again and give this knowledge to Arjuna. And why Arjuna? Because Arjuna is a friend as well as a devotee. Therefore, in order to understand this knowledge, we also should have some kind of relationship with Krishna. And then Arjuna questions. He cannot understand how Krishna can give this knowledge to sun god. Sun god is senior. So Krishna says that many birds you have forgotten, but I remember everything because I am unborn. And even though I am unborn, I appear millennium after millennium. And that brings us to the three important shloka. When Krishna comes, why Krishna comes, and how can we go back to Krishna's abode? By understanding that his birth and activities are transcendental. And in this way, we can attain all of this transcendental knowledge and get purified. And by getting purified, we can develop transcendental love for Krishna. So that was about eternal education. And then A, the three assumptions, Amina Mataji very beautifully explained right now. And R are the reactions. Good karma is called karma as per scriptural injunctions. And vikarma is you do something against the scriptural injunctions. And akarma is something which doesn't bring you any good or bad reaction. Okay. And that is doing things as per Guru Sadhu and Shastra. And finally, S means this transcendental knowledge is a science. So you just don't need to understand it theoretically, but you can actually practically realize this knowledge. And how to do that? The best way is approach a spiritual master, inquire submissively, and render service. And what happens? Your heart becomes conducive for this knowledge to develop. And with that story of the student actually just not just chanting Bhagavad Gita in 45 minutes, but trying to practically live the teachings of Bhagavad Gita for at least 45 minutes in his life, we called it a session. So our take till next week is, let's not just try to get all of this knowledge and show off how much we know, but actually try to live this knowledge. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.